So let's see what we have so far. We've got our two tables, our data. We haven't messed with our data at all. We can always make changes, and we can actually write queries that change our data. Those are the very dangerous queries. They're called update queries. So as I refer to different accounts in my account table, they are referring to different account managers, and the relationship, big word, relationship between these two databases is the account table relates to the account manager table by account manager number. This is the relationship to the account manager table. Very important relationship. Databases are a lot about relationships, just like here at Emmaus. We're all about relationships. Now let's look at the last query we did as we get ready to go on to more queries. Our last query was M02Q08. Double-clicking shows me the data that we got out of it. And I see that I'm listing the account manager number, the account name, the manager number. Oh, look at that. They're grouped by manager number, and they're ascending, and then by amount paid. And I see that it's ascending amount paid for this one manager. So even without looking at the design of this query, I can see that it is sorted by account manager number, and for the same account manager number, the amount paid is being sorted. Let's take a look at design view and see if that shows us that. Look at that. The account name, or the account number, the account name, the account manager number, and the amount paid. That's our query. And because I've adjusted these columns, if I close it, it'll ask me, do I want to save changes? And I'm happy with that. So now we're ready to go on to more queries, or not. Are we done with these queries? Let's check. Make sure I'm in the right place here. Come back to my table of contents. Get back to our table. Where did I go here? AC. Jump ahead. I've moved around in my electronic book here. Let me get back to the right chapter. Access. Module 2. And we're at the part where we've done the sorting. We've built the query that has things sorted. We've sorted on the multiple keys, the account manager, and the amount paid. That's what they mean. Multiple keys mean I'm sorting by this column and this column. We call those keys sometimes. And we finished M02Q08. And now we want to do one more before we go on to getting data from both tables. We want to get the top values out of my query, meaning I just want to see the first 5. And to do that, in the design view, I can, by default, it's returning all. But I can decide just return a few of the items, like just 5 of them. When I click that and then go view the data, I'm just showing the first 5. I don't find that terribly useful most of the time. Usually I like to see everything. But there's that option to return just the first 5. And they're useful mainly if it's like my top 5 accounts based on how much they've been buying from me. In this case, because I'm sorting by account manager, I'm only going to get that account manager because he's going to be listed first. So top value sorting. And I don't even think, oh, I guess they do save this one. Even though we've just made one tiny little change to this one, we're saving this one as M02Q09. So now I do a file save as this time, save object as, and then click the save as, and give this an M02Q09 top values. Oh, and the page is AC88. Top values. So just one tiny little extra thing to learn, how I can just give me the first 5. And is that? Yeah, that's the end of our simple queries out of one table or another. Now, I can't tell from here what table I'm getting the information out of. I just see the name of the query. In Design View is where you can tell where the data is coming from. But we now come to a concept having to do with joining tables. And so we have a little need to understand what's going on here. So I have a little presentation here. Why isn't that showing up? Huh. Well, let's go back to find my presentation I just was making. There we go. Relationships. Let's bring this over here. We're going to talk about relationships and the joining of tables. Let's bring it over here. And let's do a present. We're going to talk about joining two tables in our database. The two tables we have are accounts and the account managers. And those are two tables, our account table and our account manager table. And if you look at this, you might think, well, wait a minute, why didn't we just list account manager by name instead of putting a number here? Why did we do a number here and put account managers listed in a separate table? What do you think? Why not just list their name, first and last name, right up here next to their account name? Why put them in a separate table? If I do anything that's in Excel, wouldn't I just put the account manager's name? What's the deal with the number? Because as I list if I list my numbers here, I just see, well, okay, that's 31. Okay, I know that's Heidi Rivera. Why not just list the name? I want to see their name rather than their number. Why am I putting that in a separate table? Well, it has to do with a thing called data redundancy. If I list their name here instead of their number in a separate table, how many times is Heidi Rivera's name listed in the way it is now? Only one time here in this table. If I decided to, let's keep their name up here, I'd have Heidi Rivera here, Heidi Rivera here, Heidi Rivera here. And if that person ever changed their name or we realized we had been spelling their name wrong, guess how many times we have to change it? Every place that we have had a copy of it. And this brings us to a forbidden thing called data redundancy. There is a database rule written in Sequel of Sequels, chapter 12, verse 1. SQL, some people say SQL, I say SQL. Thou shalt avoid data redundancy, for it is an abomination, bringing judgment upon your tables to the third and fourth generation. Remember that scripture of the database. Do not have data redundancy, because it brings three bad problems. This is listed in the book, but we're going to emphasize it here. Three bad problems that data redundancy brings. You're wasting storage. You're listing something multiple times. And of course, short names, it's like not that much storage. But if you're redundant with other data, you can have a lot of wasted space. You only want to store it in one place. And the reason for that is if I ever update something, like change the name of that particular item in my inventory, change the name of a vendor, change the name of a person or address of a person, I have to change it wherever it was used. And if it's in multiple places in a table, you're subject to error or at least making it more complex to do the update. And the worst thing of all is inconsistent data. Remember that data in our tables is the foundation of databases. If we have a name spelled incorrectly in one place because, just a typo as they're entering, making the correction in multiple places, it's a horrible thing. If we have something wrong, we want to be able to correct it in one place. Thus, data redundancy is to be avoided. It is forbidden. Do not have redundant data. Thus, in our database, we have these two tables, this information in separate tables. We only want to list the account manager's name once. It's okay to list their key, the primary key of their table of their records once or multiple times, but only this key is the only relationship between these two tables. That's how you make databases that work well. They relate the table one to another. And if you want to impress your geek friends, use the term redundancy and relational databases. The relational just means the tables of data, it's related to each other in the tables. When you log in to Facebook, which Mr. Zuckerberg is in Washington explaining and saying he's sorry for using your data unfairly and probably going to keep doing it, but saying they're not, and getting money, billions of dollars for it. That's a big reason not to stop doing that. When you log in, you're logging in with one user. But they have information about you in their tables about what accounts you have visited, who your friends are. Those are tables and relations between you and all the places you visit and all your blogs and all your comments. They have tables and tables of that information. And they can sell it for big bucks. They're just going to be a little more careful about it. But still, they're making big bucks selling you data. Otherwise, they have no way to make money. They're making money off of you showing what you're interested in, especially as you get rich and buy stuff. Your username and what you're interested in is more valuable to vendors because you're ready to pay money to buy their stuff. So that's redundancy. Okay, so now think about now as we get data out of both tables, like instead of seeing a number, I want to see the name of my account manager. Now when we create a query, we're doing things called joining the information from both tables. Alright, so let's go to Access now, creating a query. Now that we're somewhat understanding of redundancy, now we're going to create a query that gets information from both tables. For example, we want to see the account number, the account name. We're going to see their manager number and maybe other information, but also the manager number and last name. So here we go. We're going to create a query. Let's go ahead and start a new query now. Create, query design, and the show table dialog comes up. I'm going to double click once on account, double click on account manager, and close. And if you don't see a line between those two tables, we've got a problem and we need to fix it. Do you all see a line between the two tables if you show them both? Uh-oh. If you don't have a line, we need to make that line show up. If you don't have a line, it's probably because you did not type it in with the exact name in both sides. Or you forgot to make the primary key in one table or another. One way to try to fix that if the line is not there, raise your hand if you don't have the line there. Okay? If you don't have the line there, try this. Click and drag from the account manager number here over to the account manager number in that table, and it will manually make that relationship in your query. Does it work? The one time that it may not work is if you did not make it a short text in both tables. It won't match the data type. The data type has to be the same. Do you notice that there may be a little typo spelling error there? That's usually the reason, is just a little bit of difference in spelling. If you don't spell it exactly, if they are spelled exactly the same, Access often guesses, and partly because it's a primary key in this table. Okay, now that you have that, we can get it to work with this each time. Eventually, we can go into database relationships and make that something that's established between the tables. Okay, so this is what we call a join. And what it means is I'm getting information out of this table and this table, join the information together in the query results. So what fields do we want? Let's see what fields they want to have in this query. Coming out of both tables, we want to see account manager number And it doesn't matter which order you put these in. I can rearrange them however you like. So I could put them this way. It doesn't matter which one I do first. They are still related. So account manager number, and let's see, I'm going to put in the same, yeah, this is the order they had in the book. Double click, I want to see the account manager number, and I want to see the last name of the account manager, and then the first name, the account number over in the account table, and the account name. And by joining it, that means I'm only going to show the account number for where the account manager number is equal to that account's number. If I don't have this line here, I'm going to get every possible combination of account manager numbers with every account. So I'll have all the accounts listed for every account manager if I don't have that line there. So now let's run it and see what results we get. And I can adjust my column just to make it visible on my screen. So I'm seeing the account manager's name this time instead of just their number, and the accounts that go along with them. And they're not sorted in any particular order. Did we want to sort? Oh, yes, we want to sort on account manager number. So let's go back and put the sorting in. I forgot to put sort ascending on account manager number, and sort ascending also on account number. Remember, sorting priority goes left to right. Now, there we go. Now we get all the Haiti Rivera's accounts listed together and increasing by alphabetically by account number. Even though it's called number, it's a short text in the design. Yes? Okay, the fields we cooked, it's account manager number, last name, first name, account number, and account name. And in design view, if I expand it, there's account manager number, and I gotta shrink my window size just a bit so I can see my slider down below. There we go. Let's go. Can I go full screen? My query not showing up. Account manager number, account last name, first name, account number, and where's my slider? It's not letting me slide left and right here. Okay, so this query now is done. It's a join, and the reason, yes? Well, let's take a look. And that's why we can go, we're going to later go into the database relationships, and then it will automatically be there, and I don't have to worry about having to draw this line each time showing the join. Okay, so that query, I think we're done with that one. And we're saving that as a manager-account. Okay, so I can Control S, because this is not a current one, Control S. And, let's try this again, Control S. And a manager-account. Manager-account. I'm going to add to that AC92, because that's where the page in the book is. It's a join. That's our first join. Now, in that join, I can actually modify how that join works. Let's just take a look at that. If I look at that join in Design View, I can right-click on that line and look at join properties. This is getting into a little more of the techie details, but it's worth at least exploring here what's going on. I have the choice of only including rows where both tables are equal. So that means accounts that have account managers assigned to them. But suppose an account doesn't yet have an account manager assigned. I could choose to join all records and those from the account manager where the join fields are equal. only those. And let's just see what we get if we choose that one instead. I should see a particular account show up. Let's see what happens here. Oh, I'm not getting a Peterloo. Oh, that's because we haven't added Peterloo yet to our account managers. Let's go add Peterloo to our account managers table, and then we'll come back to here. Let's go to our account managers. We forgot. We just have a new employee, Peterloo, and we've given him account manager number. Oh, there he is. Did someone else take Peterloo's account? Let's go ahead and look at what he has so far. Let's go back to. I'm going to close account manager. We see Peterloo here. Oh, Peterloo's not listed. I'm looking for account manager 42. Let's go back to design view. I thought I joined property. Let me check that again here. Let's try the third option. Let's see if Peter shows up. There we go. If I say list all account managers, whether or not there is a matching account, here now Peter shows up because he's a manager, but he has no matching record in the account name. And that's where the join properties can be useful. So back to the join properties, I can choose all account managers and those records from account where they're matching an existing account manager. And the reason it's not showing up in the same as in the book is because I added my tables in a different order. And so my left table and right table weren't exactly the same as in the book. But what this means is show all account managers whether or not they have an account. By default, I only see the things that match. But sometimes, right-click on the line, join properties. Yes? You don't have what? Go ahead and open your account managers. Is Peter in your table? Okay, so we know it will show up. So click back on this join, right-click, join properties. Look for the one that says all records from account manager. Make that choice. It may be your second choice instead of the third choice like mine is in the join properties. You getting it to show up yet? Let me come help you. So we have an interesting situation where in the table, in the account managers, there's Peter 42, but then when we go design it, his number, because he has no accounts, he's showing up, but his account number is not showing up. Can't explain that, and I'm not going to try to debug that. The main thing is we know how to join, and in the join properties, list account manager whether or not it has a matching account. And Cody, you were seeing the problem because the join wasn't quite joining on the right tables or the right fields. Okay, so this one's done. I can close it, saving any changes. Ready to go on to another query. Actually, we're done with queries for now. We're going to create a report from a particular query. This query is we're going to create a report from the query we just made. Easiest way to create a report, again, remember the 3-click generate report. 3 clicks. Choose the query that we want to generate a report from. I'm going to choose manager account that we just made. Choose create and choose report. I'm not going to worry about report wizard or report design. That's for more complex things. I want to just let Access create the report for me. Boom! Got the report generating. And looky there. And I can click on its layout view. I can adjust my column by shortening that up a bit. Before I actually go to print, I can adjust some things. And then, if I want to actually see the print preview, now I will see what it would look like if I sent it to a printer. And I could send it to my PDF printer to not kill any trees. There is my manager account report. Remember the 3-click method to create a report? And I can close and save this, giving it the same name as my query. Remember the 3-click method. Choose the information I want a report of, choose create, and choose report. This one, since I've already made it, I don't worry about saving it because 3 clicks is all it takes to create another report. This is the part that in the future you have more of a chance of doing. Someone's going to hand you some sort of database that they've worked on and got it working, and you'll just have to generate a report from it. You should be familiar enough that, okay, what table do I need a report from? Click, create report. So I save that report, and it shows up down in my report sections. So I can report, I can print a report of a table itself, or of just the information I want from the table, which is where the query comes in. And we're going to skip the part about printing the report. Now we've done forms before. We're now also going to do a form based on the query. Just like we can create a form from a report, I can create a form from a query. Like I only want to see specific information about the managers and their accounts. So that same manager account, the 3-click method to create a report or a form for it. There's the account, create, and form. Now I have page by page, I can see the information about each record in the results of that query. So a lovely form, a user-friendly, and again, if we had pictures or logos for the company, we could add them as well in our design and see that information as I page through my accounts. This is the kind of thing that you're looking at when someone will give you a web page of your results. You're looking at kind of like the form results of a web search when someone says, hey, here's the list of links. Click here to see that result. In a department directory, when you go to view your directory, that's the result of a information pulled out of a database presented to you. So the forms are like the web pages you see when you visit sites. They're generating pages that are like forms coming out of their database of all the information of what's for sale at eBay, who else is blogging about their cats and what they've eaten for breakfast and what their babies have done. Those poor moms that don't have anything else to do except watch their kids have to go on Facebook and tell us about their children. We love them though, especially the grandparents. When I'm a grandparent, I suppose I'll appreciate that more, what all the kids are doing. So we created a form for that, and now it's time to export data to Excel. Saving this form, and I'm using the same name for my form as my query. That helps me track where the information came from if I use the same name. Now I want to export this data. So I select my form, or the query again, select my query. Let's see, external data, export side this time, and we choose an Excel file to export this data to. And I get to browse to where that file is going to, and then I want to give it the right name here. We're going to save it. We're going to save it to Manager Account Query. Yeah, just the same name as my query. So I'm going to save this to, I can browse to, I'll go ahead and put it in my CS101 folder. I'm going to save it right to here. I'm going to add Manning to it just so I know it's my table. Exported. And save. let's see here. Do I care about formatting and layout? Let's see what they want us to do. No, they're going to ignore formatting and layout, although that might be useful at some point, but we won't export the formatting. And unless I'm going to do this again multiple times, I'm not going to worry about saving export steps. Let's see what it looks like. I'm going to browse over to that file. In my file browser over here, go to my folder that I just exported it to. There's my manager account. Let's see what it looks like in Excel. Nope, went with the default. And there is my exported to Excel. So the thing to remember is I can import and export into and out of Access. If I have lots of data in Excel and someone says, you know, does anybody here know that how I would ever get this into a database so we could search this stuff? You could say, yes, I learned that in our fantastic college I went to. I don't know if no one else teaches Access anymore because they don't think it's useful, but I know how to do this. And you will get a raise and a promotion. At least some praise from your boss, which is the most important. Okay, so export out of Access into Excel. And you have your various options. They explain the options. Notice how you can export to lots of different formats. You can even email it if it's hooked up to an email program such as Outlook. Okay, now going back to our query here, we're going to, are we creating a new one or we're modifying it? Yeah, we're going to modify that manager account query. After doing a little exporting it, making a form, I can modify this now by right-clicking Design View. And sadly, the form and report will not update if I modify my design of my query. If I want to get a report, after I've modified this, I have to regenerate the report. But that's only if I've added different fields. If I change the criteria, the query will still produce the same number of columns, but then the form will show that new data. So we're going to add a criteria to, what is it, amount paid. So it won't show amount paid in our report because we're adding a new field, but it will show the accounts with that criteria. So let's add another column here, amount paid. So I'm going to double click amount paid. It gets added here to my report, and let's see if I can shrink this down so I can see that field a little better. We're going to add amount paid, but we're only interested in amount paid that is greater than 20,000. So greater than, remember our greater than symbol, arrow pointing to the right, greater than 20,000. Remember, this only works on fields that are numeric. Greater than alphabetically means something different. It may not give you the results you expect. Greater than 20,000. And now run this query. Don't save it yet because we're going to do saving it as a new query, I believe. Let's just see what we get. And now I'm only listing accounts, that same information, but only for accounts that have amount paid greater than 20,000. So I am filtering or have some criteria on what gets shown in my query. The same information in the other columns, but a slightly less, fewer number of rows coming out of my table. Oh, they say don't worry about saving the changes. Okay. I was hoping that we would be saving this as another module, another report. Okay, so that one's done. Now we're going to start a new query and do some calculations on the data. So that one's done. Even though we made a slight change, we're going to ignore that last change. So no save to those changes. Now we're going to create a field, but this time we're going to use a calculated field. This gets a little bit more complicated, so pay attention here. We're going to create a query. Query design. Hope you're getting used to that now. The tables I want to get information out of are only from the account table. So I don't need a join this time. And what I want to see is account number, name, amount paid, and current due. Back to the similar to the first queries we ran at the very start. Amount paid, current due. Now we're going to add another field here to create a field named total. Now my little choice down here doesn't show. Oh, sorry. It's going to be coming from the, we're going to build, sorry, I'm in the wrong place. Right here. We're going to build our query. Why am I not seeing the build showing up in my, oh, am I in the wrong place? Right, oh, I got to right click. Sorry, I was clicking on the pull down. It's right click, properties, right click build. Why is it not showing build? Right click, build. There we go. Right click, build. We're going to build data to go into that fifth column. And it pops up a little expression builder. Now this thing is not intuitive at all. So watch carefully what we're going to type in here. And let's see, that text is going to be kind of small. So I will type it in here, and I'll bring up Notepad to help you see what we're going to put in here. So I'll fire up Notepad here to make it more visible. Where's my Notepad? Come on, Notepad, where'd you go? Here it is. Okay, so here's what we're going to put in our expression builder. We're going to build this query, this expression. I'm just making it nice and big for you to read. The expression we're going to put in here is total, oh, got to do capital T, total amount. And what this means is total amount colon, we're telling Access, this is what's going to be listed in the caption. The name of this field is going to be total amount. What comes after the colon is a calculation. I'm going to add up amount paid, and it has to be spelled exactly right or it won't come out right. Amount paid plus, in other square brackets, current due. All on one line. All of that on one line will mean what goes in that column will be that calculation. So that's what I'm going to be putting down in here. Let me put that in here now. Total amount, colon, bracket, amount paid, plus, square bracket, current due. Any spelling errors either here or in my table will result in a unknown information when it tries to run it. So that's what goes in there, right there in the expression builder. Yes. Oh, that's a bracket there. Oh, down here. Yeah, you're right. Down here, you're right. I spelled it wrong. Yep, thanks for catching that. If I had it spelled wrong, when I run it, it will say, what in the world goes here? It would ask me a question. And if I did it right, when I run the query, I will see the calculation being calculated by adding those two numbers up. Now, in accounting, what this means is this is the amount we're expecting to be paid from this customer. We still have outstanding. We're expecting them to pay their bills. If they do pay their bills, this is the total amount that the customer we're expecting to receive from them. So there's your accounts receivable kind of information that you report to the government. Here's what we're expecting to be paid by, if these customers pay up what they owe us. So amount paid plus current due. Yes. We're out of time. All right. Thanks for letting me know. We're about done with this. So next time we'll finish this up and go on to database management. Oh, this query, we'll save this one as, what are we saving as? Calculated. Run the query, change the caption. M02Q10. 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 If you want to call it calculated field or AC, what page it was on. My page number disappeared on me. AC 100 something. It cuts off at 2 digits in my page numbers.